Apparently, Mario live action is coming. I'm not really
With
excited about
Chris
that. I
Pratt.
don't know. Yeah, Chris Pratt is in everything now, apparently. He's voicing every single character. So, yeah. There are like literal memes coming up. Chris Pratt is gonna voice this. Chris Pratt is gonna voice that. Welcome to the Cinemates podcast. Hi Arav. Hi Atharv. Hi Twisha.
I,
Hi Kunal. So, uh, how have you guys been? Did you guys watch any movies recently?
I went to watch the new Ghostbusters film. It was much better
Yeah,
than the
it was
previous
good.
sequel that they released a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was actually really good. I mean, they brought back the old cast, the original cast, and that was pretty nostalgic, honestly. And it was a pretty good film overall. Okay, so I think we can start with the questions. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so the first question, it's really important. I think it's really important for all the members of Cinemates. What got you interested in cinema or film industry in general? Uh,
It's
yeah.
like a fun pastime. So, like, if you're bored or something and you just have nothing to do, so it's like the film industry is like you can either entertain yourself or you can learn more about how to entertain others. So, goes both ways. I think that's pretty interesting.
I personally love how diverse the film industry is. You can go from like horror to comedy to anything. So I think the film industry does a really good job of inculcating everyone's interest and kind of finding something for everyone, right? So there are people who might not like certain things, but they might like completely different things. So it brings a lot of people together, I feel. That's what got me interested in it.
About me, watching movies actually got me interested in watching movies. Like I used to be the kind of person who thought that if the movie was not cool in the first 10 minutes, then I'm watching something else. I'm just switching off the TV. But then after I realized that every plot needs a foundation and it has to be built, so I sit back and watch the building, and that somehow turned out to be a very important lesson for me. Apart from getting my interest in movies and cinemas, and that important lesson was like patience, because things don't happen in a snap. You have to wait it out.
Or for me, like, I guess for lots of kids from my generation also, they got interested because of superhero movies, mostly Marvel, Spider-Man, the Avengers. So I got interested through that and then expanded. Found new movies. And one thing I was really intrigued that someone made a story which millions of people wanted to watch and give money to see. Like were able to make a story which grabbed people's attention so much that they made billions of dollars.
Okay. For me, so whenever I was in stress, like during exams, whenever I got stressed, so to de-stress myself, I watched movies. That was like I think one of the best decisions I've made, just watching movies late at night. And it really helped me. That's how I actually got really interested into, and then I also watched videos of like film reviews, and it got me really interested. And I then I think uh, I also wanted to try reviewing out. So yeah, that was the thing that got me interested.
So like lots of people have opinions and also what's your opinion that what are the most top three most overrated movies of all time? Like that is just obscenely overrated. People praise it too much.
All right, so three overrated movies. First is Avengers Endgame. I know that it's a bit extreme, but I guess that Infinity War was way better than Avengers Endgame, but it got a lot of buzz and it was pretty much overrated than Infinity War, and I really don't like that. And second is Hunger Games. Except the first movie was good, and then the later movies they were just like I thought them of as in formality just to complete the series. And third, I guess it's Dunkirk. Like there was a lot of buzz about Dunkirk too, but I really didn't like the movie. And there wasn't this kind of emotional attachment with the characters that you get. And yeah, I guess that's about it.
Dunkirk probably because it has Christopher Nolan in its name, like he's the director.
Yeah, I guess that must have confused me.
Uh, that's why it's probably overrated. For me, I think Titanic is extremely overrated. It is a good movie. It is a good movie. I'm not gonna lie, but like you don't have to, go crazy over. It's not a movie that you go crazy over, in my opinion. I find that I find that movie extremely overrated. La La Land. It is a good movie. Personally, I don't like musicals, and it has won an Oscar. So, I mean, the overrated chart, like it's extremely overrated. And yeah, probably Endgame as well because I preferred Infinity War over Endgame. Like the last battle, yeah, good, but it was very long. In my opinion, it was extremely long. Yeah.
I have one more, and I know a lot of people already hate on this movie, but I cannot stand the Twilight series. I know a lot of people already hate them, but they still have quite a lot of fan following. It mostly comes from the people who read the books, obviously, but I can't with that movie. I don't know where to start with. I mean, of course, some people might like it, but personally, I just no.
It has great actors, but the acting is terrible. Like the direction, how they've done it, it's terrible. Yeah, Tharv, go ahead.
Yeah, so for me personally, it's Avatar. So I actually could not bring myself to finish the movie. I've heard that it's a pretty good movie. Like, a lot of people did like it, but I personally find it kind of overhyped. Yeah,
I think the thing about Avatar was that it was the first full-blown CGI movie.
I
So
think
that was
during that
more.
time it was kind of new for them.
Yeah.
Like probably.
Do you prefer modern or old cinema? We actually had this debate in our club, and you know, the children came up with extremely good points. So let's see if you guys can come up with them too. Let's see.
For me, honestly, modern cinema is much better. In the sense, like you can have 80s style movies which are produced and made today in 2021, and you can even have futuristic movies or use graphic designing CGI to make a fantasy world and base a whole movie around it. So you're not limited now. You can make anything, and it's not like the plot or the story is affected by it. It's still as good as it used to be, or probably even better now.
Before someone else says, I'll just like to say to Ara that I guess I'll disagree with you there because like I don't want to start an argument, but I'll disagree with you there because if you think that the graphics and all are good, but if you see that according to that time, according to the old cinema, the previous generation, for them they were pretty ahead of their time in terms of graphics and the plots about space movies. Like it's not like I'll take an example about Star Trek, the show, the first show, the Next Generation. It was so good. Like, but if someone today sees it, then they'll think that the graphics are shit. But the concept that it brought, and for that time, the graphics were so good. You need to agree with me here.
Yeah. For the time, they're really good. They're ahead of the time. They used everything possible to make it seem futuristic.
Yeah.
Looks like we're gonna have some drama on this topic. I am actually stuck. I like old movies a lot. But then I think every generation likes the movies, which are released in their time period. Like for us, most of us like modern cinema, and most of the older people like old cinema. I mean, it depends because after all, the movies that have been released around the time, where basically in your generation, that is the most influential. Those are the most influential films. Like they influence the most out of all other films. So yeah, I think it depends mainly on the age demographic. For me, I like modern cinema too. Yeah.
There's actually this study that proved that the movies that you watch from age 12 to 24 are the movies that you'll like that you'll have the most liking to anyway. So what you're saying is actually technically scientifically proven, but yeah, so it's true. For me personally, I really like seeing where cinema came from. So where everything originated from, where ideas came up, because a lot of the times our plots and like things that we talk about today, or even plot structures for that matter, a lot of them are influenced by a lot of previous um, stories even. So I mean, it's difficult sometimes to notice, but a lot of the things are actually very similar, and it happens with a lot of other types of um, art as well, right? But for movies in particular, I like to see where it's come from, but then I also like to see where it's going. So personally, I do have an inclination towards more modern cinema, but the problem is, I mean, it's kind of a, how do I put this? It both has its they both have their likes and dislikes, right? But the thing is, I like to see where it's coming from, but I'm more interested in seeing where it's going, because it is very heavily influenced by previous movies and a lot of plot lines that were originally made, but then there's so many different takes on that which come into modern cinema, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really given a definitive answer, but I mean, it's there. It's somewhere there. I don't really know. I've not made my mind up on this.
So
I
you're more
mean,
inclined towards modern cinema.
Inclined towards modern cinema, but very interested in looking at where it comes from.
Taste
So
for old cinema as well.
yeah.
That's the situation with me too. Like I usually watch modern movies, like whatever comes on Netflix, I'll just watch it if I got the time. But then I'll also sometimes go out of my way and watch the old movies, like the movies of the golden age. Like I watched Sholay and all, and I really started liking those kind of movies.
I completely agree. Like, there's some things that you just have to watch and you can't miss. Like, no matter what age you're of, I guess there are like these certain movies that you can't miss. Like, okay, for example, The Matrix, it came out ages ago, but I mean, everyone still watches it and everyone still loves it. So there are like a few things that just are liked no matter what you're in.
Okay, for me, I don't really have a specific preference, but I would probably go to the kind of olden times. Like, yeah, the modern movies have like really good cinematography, like the quality is also good. Like, I mean, of course, you have modern technology, but then there's the problem with modern movies is like a lot of them don't really stand out, or like there's nothing really interesting about them that makes them different from the rest. So like take superhero movies for example. So all of them have a common plot. Like there's like the entire world is like in danger, the superheroes come and they save the planet. So like they're all following this kind of like general template. The only thing that kind of sets different movies apart is like the superheroes will have different abilities, the villains or the enemies will be different. So like if you compare the plot or the story to the olden ones, the old movies actually have a much more deeper story, and it's actually much more interesting to watch.
Yeah, that is true. I'll have to agree because, and a lot of directors actually detest superhero movies because of the simplicity of the plot. I mean, and yeah, definitely, old cinema has provided us with unique and original plots, kind of like the basic concept for the plots that have come now. And there are many remakes also, if you see, because the plots were so good back then. It is a pretty subjective question. So I think, yeah. Does anyone else want to say anything on this?
I
I just
like
want to say that okay, you go first.
go ahead, go ahead.
Like movies in general, all the movies almost follow basic template every time. Like there's a protagonist and antagonist. He has to go through struggles to finally complete his what do you say goals and defeat the antagonist. So that's, I guess, a template that every movie uses, not just superhero movies. In like in general, all movies have to most most of the times use that format. So
We commented on the storyline of these old movies, like, and the simplicity of the superhero movie plots. But like, I guess we didn't talk about the acting in it. Like, that's the main thing. And we discussed about the use of technology, the storyline, the plot, but not the acting. And I guess that this is something that we need to put emphasis on because it's a full package that we need to analyze the our likeliness, our push towards modern or old cinema.
I feel that old cinema has better acting personally. Because I mean, now that everything's backed up by CGI, they don't really need to rely on acting. But old cinema, they really needed acting because you know that had to become the main, that had to be the main focus back then. Yeah, that's all I have
I
about acting.
Yeah, I agree with that. But there are also other things to consider. So what I agree with definitely is there was a lot more authenticity that came with acting back then, and you really had to, be on point with anything that you're trying to portray to the audience. So I completely agree with that. But then I think it's also a lot more difficult as cinema grows to be recognized as an actor because it keeps getting more diverse, right? And as cinema gets more inclusive, there are more people who want to take part in or try out acting, right? And also, again, if cinema gets more traction over the years, it will be a higher paying job and there will be more people who want to do that. So the more capitalistic it gets, the more difficult it gets to actually be a distinguished actor. So I guess the competition is still getting worse, right? Like, I mean, it is getting, better, but also worse because it's harder. But yeah, I agree to the point where it was definitely a lot more authentic back then than it is now.
Yeah, there have to be, I think, good actors now, as you said. There's a lot more competition now than it was back then. Yeah, I completely agree on the competition part.
Even I agree to Twisha's point, like especially with the nepotism, but not let's not get into the controversy of that. And also, like I believe that sometimes, like the actors in the old movies tried hard to make it look real, but sometimes there was a bit of overacting. Like if someone's getting shot, then there was जोर की आवाज, and then they would go dead. So that was a bit extreme for me. But for that time, I guess it might be something good enough.
Now that we have Netflix, and Netflix is literally releasing one film after the other in a week or so, I'm not even joking. I think the quality of movies have downgraded. I mean, I think they've taken. I mean, it's good to maybe let, social media influencers take part as actors in a movie, but they should be capable enough, and I think the quality is degrading. They just want quantity. They're choosing quantity over quality, basically. That's what I feel like. Even though,
Yeah,
there's a
that's
lot of
true.
competition.
Yeah, like Netflix releases lots of movies and series every day. So you can't have that quality if you just release bulks of movies each year. You can't have the same quality as before.
Yeah, I agree that there is this quality quantity trade off, and especially if you're talking about the Netflix Netflix market demography, especially in India, most of the people who watch movies on Netflix are teenagers. Like the adults don't really watch movies. They on Netflix they prefer Prime Video or Z. And when we talk about Netflix particularly, the quality is not good, and we as teenagers, as school people, students, don't have much time to watch all that movies, like the so many movies. So we obviously prefer a bit of more quality over quantity. So I guess Netflix should really think of that.
Yeah, true. But I don't even know at this point, are they, respecting cinema industry, or they just want money? Yeah, it's confusing.
The only good thing about Netflix is content is its marketing strategies and its marketing content that we see on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, social media is, especially Instagram and YouTube, are like Netflix top marketing strategies. I think we can go to the next question now. Does anyone have anything else to say?
Yeah, no, I just agree. Like Netflix is a great business, but as an art platform, I don't know if it does the best job because I mean, come on, it doesn't really have respect for what it's producing, right? Otherwise, obviously the quality would have been much better. But I think with again the demographic which Kunal was saying, I have to also say that binge watching is a huge thing with teenagers. So you'll want to produce more episodes for them so that they'll spend more amount of time on the platform, right? Even if they don't have the time, they tend to procrastinate. So they'll try to spend as much time binge watching, and Netflix obviously as a business will try to keep them hooked as much as possible. So I kind of understand where their obsession with quantity is coming from. But I agree, definitely, quality should be given precedence over quantity. Yeah, it is what it is.
It is
But
what
if
it
we come
is.
to the matter of binge watching, then it's mostly about shows or movies, and that too shows like sitcoms, like Friends, 2.5 Men, or Big Bang Theory, but not shows like Stranger Things. I personally wouldn't prefer binge watching Stranger Things or any other show like that. I don't know about you all, and certainly not movies. Like I can't watch movies at a great length. Like two movies back to back is not possible for me. I'll take a break, 1 hour break in between if I'm doing a marathon.
Yeah, even
Should
I
we?
sometimes, like if it's a really long movie, I split it into parts, take a break and then watch it.
Definitely. But I
If you
think with
watch
Stranger
something,
Things in particular, Netflix releases all the episodes at once so that people binge watch it, right? I don't think they do the weekly episodes with Stranger Things, do they?
it's a
Not about
bulky
Stranger
release.
Things, but their shows series mostly
What's an
release at in
example?
one go.
Atharva, you were saying something?
No, I was actually talking about the same thing. Um, like Netflix does like a bulk release, so like the entire season is like uploaded in like maybe one night. And then I think even the series is like probably uploaded at like specific time of the night. So like the majority of the demographic will find the perfect time to actually start the series. So it's all kind of like planned, I guess, to get the most out of it.
Yeah, but I think now like a lot of OTT platforms have started the weekly basis thing, like Disney Hotstar, like with Marvel series like Loki, WandaVision. They've all been uploaded on a weekly basis, and even on Netflix, like anime like Demon Slayer, that's also it's still being uploaded on a weekly basis. So yeah. Um, okay. Okay. This is also a tough question. What do you prefer? The protagonist, which is the hero, or the antagonist, which is the villain?
For
Yeah,
me, it's probably the antagonist, not because the antagonist or the villain is always cooler. Not because of that, but because the protagonist wouldn't be anything without the main villain. Like he's basically part of it. He makes up the protagonist for us. And his character traits and everything is linked to the villain. We see a connection between them. So without him, if it was just a hero and going around saving people, it would be like a very boring movie. I don't think anyone would want to watch that. That's why I guess I prefer antagonist.
For me, it actually uh, usually I just go with the protagonist, but then again, it depends on the story. So because a lot of them have backstories, and it of course depends on the backstory. But then mainly I'll go with the protagonist because well, it's the main character. It's quite cool and it's fun. But then at times like it depends on the story. But then I feel more connected, or like it just feels better to be the antagonist at that time because you understand that point of view better, or maybe you have a similar point of view. So it just feels more connected. So yeah.
You basically like sympathize with the victims. You don't want to be
Yeah.
like the antagonist, more like the
Yeah,
protagonist.
you don't want to oppose them. You're like, oh, you're the same thing as me, so I might as well go with you. Something like that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the point of view from which the movie is shown, or anything else for that matter, is what you tend to favor anyway, despite it can be as ridiculous as they make it. But I think whenever they show someone's point of view, you tend to anthropomorphize more, and then you tend to sort of relate to the character, even if it's something that you can never relate to, right? So whether that be, okay, if this character, which is usually the antagonist, for example, okay, Batman and Joker, right? Joker, okay, as a villain himself, he was shown to be a very interesting character. So there's no doubt that people love him. But again, when you see the OG Batman movies before Joker was ever made into an important character, um, Batman always, like, obviously people love Batman. People always would always prefer Batman. People would always, you know, tend to, obviously he's the hero, right? There's not a lot to explain there. But then again, as soon as you're shown Joker's point of view, you tend to like him more because obviously he's terrifying backstory and everything, right? So I think we really tend to prefer whatever point of view we're shown, even if it's someone like the Joker, who is technically the protagonist of his own film, but he is an anti-hero character, right? um he I mean, personally, I tend to find antagonists more intricate because their personalities are always very towering. They always have a lot of layers going into their characters, and they're very thought through. Like their the amount of I think thought that goes into a villain's personality is not the amount of thought that goes into a hero's personality, because the hero is your ideal um sort of character, right? He's everything right with the world a lot of the times, not always, obviously, but a lot of the times. And so, yeah, I mean, I completely agree with Atharva when he says that we tend to prefer whichever point of view we're shown. Personally, I would prefer a villain only because of how much thought goes into his character. So if there's a protagonist where there's so many layers given to him, I think we would tend to like that too. It's, I think, something everyone would appreciate, but it could go either way.
I think an example of that is Loki. Like, if you ask people who they like Thor or Loki, they'll probably go towards Loki. They like Loki more as a character.
Like,
Exactly.
I totally agree with you three. Like it is basically on the perspective with which the movie is shown and also the storyline. And if the storyline, the foundation of the entire movie is feels incomplete without the villain or the hero, then I guess we need to add those characters. And about the antagonist, there's some thing that we don't know. There's a blank, there's a vacuum about the antagonist backstory that we don't know about about his perspective, but we know everything about the hero. Like even in if you see Avengers, as then like Arav said about Loki, like in Avengers, the first movie, Loki was like a villain and we didn't know much about him, but we still liked that character because of what went through his mind and all that, what was going on in his mind. That was something that we all wanted to see what would happen in the movie towards the end. And now that the show has come out and Loki is the protagonist, we love him even more. So it's basically about the
Okay.
point of view, the perspective with which the character is shown. Because in someone's story, the hero in one movie might be the villain in someone's movie. Yeah.
This might be a little controversial, but I like antagonists when they don't have a backstory. Like, I mean, when they don't have a backstory, there is no exposition. They're just pure evil to you, right? Like, there is no, oh, they're broken by the society cliche. Like, for example, Joker. We didn't know his backstory up till now. Like, until Joaquin Phoenix did the origin story. That was good. But why was he loved? Because he was pure evil. And like his intentions were just evil. Uh, it wasn't like he was the hero of his own story. He was the villain of his own story. That was for sure. Like he is the villain of every story. So yeah, I prefer villains when they are pure evil. They just want to cause chaos. Like I think Alfred in Dark Knight says like a line, such men just want to watch the world burn. Yeah, those are the villains I like. For protagonists, yeah, I guess I like protagonists too. But when there's too much exposition, like, oh, and whenever they show the protagonist as pure and completely white, uh, and the antagonist as black, like all evil. That's fine, but there has never been a protagonist. There can never be There has always been a protagonist who is always pure angel like, and that I don't like that cliche that much. When they show the evil side of protagonists, that's when it's really fun to watch. Yeah.
So when they're just unhinged, there isn't a particular reason. They just want to create chaos.
See, I agree with that
For
too. I
the
think
villains, yeah, when they just want to create chaos. And I personally don't like heroes when they're shown as all like pure. Maybe show a bit of their dark side and I'll be kind of interested. Yeah.
See, I agree about the protagonists, definitely. I think when you show a perfect character, it tends to get very vanilla, if that makes sense. It tends to get very stagnant, and I think it's very important to show flaws. That's definitely there again, but I feel like they do that so that audiences can relate more, because obviously you will never be able to relate to a perfect person. You will be able to relate to someone with flaws. You will be able to relate to someone with some amount of drawbacks, and it's just, again, character, personality, right? So the amount of layers you add, I think it just gets works in their favor, definitely.
So basically, to sum it up, if we get deeper into the protagonist's story and know about his flaws and his darkness, then we like the protagonist. And if there's a hint of secrecy to the antagonist's backstory or to his character, then we like him. So just like in Batman, the Dark Knight Rises. So I guess there was this evil in darkness in Bruce Wayne that we liked, about which we liked, and there was this secret backstory about Bane that we didn't really know the exact thing, but we still like the character.
We can make a good movie, just out of this concept. It'll be a good movie if we do it. Yeah.
Definitely.
uh, Anything else to add? Yeah, I think Kunal summed it up really well.
So, what are your favorite cult films? Cult movies, cult classics, cult following?
I would go with the Star Wars prequel trilogy, and I do love Star Wars. Okay, and the first time I watched it was, I think I was around 6, and I think it was just fascinating. It was space and stuff, and like there's space, and then there's fights, and then you mix it up together, and like you get something really cool. Okay, and then as a 6-year-old, I found that really, really fascinating, and especially the prequel trilogy. So basically, movies 1, 2, 3. I really do like them, and they are my favorite cult films.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the Star Wars uh, trilogy as well. I liked all the Star Wars movies. I have like a Blu-ray disc, like a collection, a full-on collection of Blu-ray CDs. And yeah, I mean, I just watched one every day for a week when I had vacations. It was a long, I think I was 10 around that time. And then I think my next birthday was based on Star Wars. Yeah, so I got really, yeah, it was a really good experience watching that film. Uh, I like the Kill Bill series a lot, the Kill Bill movies. They're really good, in my opinion. And a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies are cult films, if you see. Yeah.
Yeah, I recently reviewed Pulp Fiction. I definitely get the hype, honestly. There obviously are things that are overhyped with Quentin Tarantino's films in general, but I definitely get the hype. I definitely understand why there's this extremely huge deal. Every time he releases anything, it's a huge deal, right? And it just ends up having its own little cult. Well, but yeah, I get the hype behind his movies and his projects in general.
I think
Uh,
we have reviewed quite a few cult films, like Pulp Fiction, and I think Seven. Seven is also counted as a cult film, and Memento. Really good movie, yeah. I think you reviewed both of them. Yeah, getting all the cult films.
Great too. Like, honestly, there are a lot of people who really don't like it, but personally, I felt like it was extremely well written and the acting was off the charts. Like, I genuinely really liked that movie. And it was one of those movies that came up with an original plot, like you would not see that plot before it was written. But I think that's a lot true for a lot of Nolan movies in general. But yeah, I love that movie.
so my favorite cult movie like is a Bollywood movie, and I guess I'm the odd one out here. it is Hera Fairy. I guess you all will agree with me. Like it's pure comedy, like, and neither the characters nor the writers are trying too hard to make it funny, like which we see in today's comedy. And I guess it's just going with the flow. And apart from that, what I really like about cult movies is that even if they flop in the box office in the cinemas, people somehow come to love them when they watch them in at their homes only. Like they don't do good in the box office, but you're the fan of it, and that's like the underdog story of every of these flop cult movies. Like, and everyone loves an underdog.
You could call them like a family time movies. Like you would prefer watching them at home, relaxed with like people you know, like your family members or someone like that. So like maybe it just matches the mood. And like along with Hera Fairy, I think like there's also Welcome and Dhamal, and I think they're also really good movies as well. I do enjoy watching them.
Mindless fun. No plot, nothing, just comedy in quick intervals. For me, I think it would be. I'm not sure if it's counted as a cult movie, but Tron Legacy. I think it came around 11 years ago. I saw a clip when I was a kid of it on my mom's phone, and I was just intrigued that how did they make all of this? There was like a blank space with neon lights going around and people riding on neon bikes. That just I was just interested in that how what it does it look like, how did, and before that, and I think in 1982 there was another Tron movie which they had to make at a time when there weren't actual graphic processors in the sense where they could make digital graphics and everything. So that was really intriguing how they managed to do all of that, putting so much work.
Yeah, back then CGI didn't exist. I think few days back I watched the original Tron, and I mean, it was really good. You know, it was ahead of its time, definitely. And I think with a lot of cult movies that have flopped in the box office, I think they were ahead of its time, and the audience back then didn't like it. But then over the time, it grew a large fan base, you know, and really became, you know, one of the favorites, gained legendary status. Yeah.
So,
Um,
does that mean that you're now inclined towards old cinema because you mentioned Tron and
No, I was intrigued by how they made it at a time like that, like how they made such a huge digital set when there weren't any actual digital software or anything to do that stuff. Yeah,
okay, so the question is, what upcoming movies are you most hyped about? What are you most excited about? I think there's gonna be a No Way Home coming up, definitely. Someone's gonna say it. Just waiting. I'll mute
I think
myself. Let's see.
everyone is excited for that movie. Any like Marvel related movie. So I guess apart from Marvel, which movies we're interested in that are coming up.
I heard that
Okay.
they will make a movie version of Uncharted. I want to see what they do with that because I love Uncharted. Okay, so I really want to see what movie version they make.
Uncharted is a brilliant game. It is like a movie. It is like a movie. I'm not joking. Yeah, let's see if Tom Holland does really well. Like the movies that he's coming up with, you know, they're gaining a lot of hype. I mean,
I think
Spider-Man, of
it's like a
course.
prequel of the games, like before he actually
Yeah.
became what he was in the game. So,
Yeah, the known Nathan Drake, you know, the known treasure hunter. So yeah, I think let's see if Tom Holland can pull it off. I'm excited about another superhero film, Batman, but I think there's a lot of hype behind it. I mean, Robert Pattinson is there. He's a very underrated actor, I must say. I mean, people don't like him just because he's done Twilight. I know he did really bad in that, but he's a really good actor. Watch Lighthouse. It's an amazing movie. I watched it like yesterday and it was really good. So yeah, Batman, and apparently Mario live action is coming. I'm not really
With
excited about
Chris
that. I don't
Pratt.
know. Yeah, Chris Pratt is in everything now, apparently. He's voicing every single character. So yeah, there are like literal memes coming up. Chris Pratt is gonna voice this. Chris Pratt is gonna voice that. So let's see how it works, because there was, I think, a live action Mario and
Yeah,
it
way
flopped
back. That
terrible.
was really
It
bad.
was, yeah. Uh, I just heard reviews about it and I didn't want to watch it. Okay, anyone else? Yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited about that Lightyear, like Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. Basically, his origin story, I guess. The space exploration and everything is going on about in Toy Story. So it's an actual
it'll be pretty.
animated film about that.
It'll be pretty nostalgic, though. Just
Yeah.
bring back memories. Twisha, you wanted to say something? Okay, Kunal. Uh,
Um, the number one that movie that I'll watch when it comes is Top Gun Maverick. Like, you need to admit that the first movie was very good, and obviously everyone's a fan of Tom Cruise. And also, I'm excited. Like you mentioned, Batman. I'm excited about Black Adam, and like especially I want to see its reviews and feedbacks. Because you remember when we were in eighth and ninth in the bus, we just discussed that the Marvel movies are awesome, but their shows are and the DC movies are but the move like the DC shows are awesome, but the movies are like now Marvel got WandaVision, Loki, and all to the TV series business, and it was phenomenal. There's no argument in that, and
Definitely.
that's what I expect. That is what is expected from a Black Adam as DC tries to compete with the MCU in movies. Like Wonder Woman and Justice League did a great job, but not that great as it is expected from Black Adam. And I just really want to see that how this goes down. Like it's not the movie mainly; it's like what how people like it and how the MCU and DC thing moves ahead. That's
Like
what
the
I'm waiting.
rivalry between them.
Yeah.
I'm even excited about like Shazam 2. There's gonna be a separate movie, Black Adam and Shazam.
Fury of Gods, right?
Right, yeah.
I think this will be the first time I'll watch Rock as the antagonist. You know, I think there was one movie like the Scorpion King or something, like
Right,
with
yeah,
really
with the
bad
really bad
CGI.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was the last time I saw him as the antagonist. So I think it'll be pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I feel
and
that this is something new for Dwayne Johnson. Like his roles like started getting a bit cheesy and all that. I guess he became like the Akshay Kumar of Hollywood.
exactly, yeah,
He just
exactly.
plays himself in every movie.
Movies like the Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, and all that, whatever is coming now, is like a bit cringy. And I guess Black Adam would be a good change.
Right. I mean, excited for Morbius. I think Sony is producing it, so I'm interested like where it will go.
Um, I don't know how I forgot about this, but the new Matrix movie is gonna come
Right.
in
Yeah.
December. I don't know how I forgot about that, and we mentioned it in the podcast. As a cult classic, Twisha mentioned it. And I was like, oh, I'm missing something. And I'm also hyped about John Wick 4. It's gonna be insane,
Yeah.
yeah. It's gonna be really good, I bet. Thank you guys, Kunal, Twisha, Atharva. Thank you for joining. And hopefully we'll, talk again on another episode. And yeah, cool. I think we can end it there.